Oh, yeah. All right. Cool. So, man, I am feeling good. I've been feeling good. Just happy, I don't know about you guys. I hope you guys are doing good too. But I've just been. You ever get like that like kid happy? I feel like we all kind of chase that. Like happy is just like a kid pumped happy. Like this, so this happened to me the other day. Like I thought I had it. I thought I found it again because my kid he comes. This was so ridiculous. I'm walking through my kitchen, and my son he comes waddling through the room. He's doing like the two-handed holder penguin waddle, like the defending a penalty kick, waddling while holding it, you know what I mean? And he's going through the kitchen like this, bare bottom naked, just cheesing. I mean, grinning from ear to ear. And I'm like, first of all, what is happening? Second of all, like, why on earth are you so pumped up and happy about being naked, jogging through the house right now? And so I continue my way through the house. He goes the other way. I don't know what's going on, but I get to the back door, and it is wide open with a pile of clothes in front of it. And now I'm like, now the wheels are turning. Like, what the heck just happened? He is so pumped up and happy, like cheesing, like he just got away with something amazing. So immediately, I'm picturing like him sitting there with his brother, and being like, "Bet you won't go run around the backyard naked." His brother, he's not doing it. Just no way. Yeah, well, I will. He goes, runs to the back door, throws all of his clothes off, runs around, woo, just loving it, happy as fuck, woo. Come back in the house, Joe goes through the kitchen, just jogging on through, waddling on through, really, and that's where I see him. And so now I'm at the back door, like thinking, man, I want that. I want this fun kid happiness. So bam, pants off, shirt off, woohoo, all around the backyard. And then like the neighbor's lawnmower cuts out, and crickets. Yeah. So I'm not sure how my neighbors feel about me anymore, but I thought I found that happiness. I thought for a brief moment I was like, woohoo, feeling like a kid again, loving it. But I don't know. Everything's good though anyways. So all right, this podcast, pod number 6, Electrofishing with the Chub Club. Let's see, the Chub Club is a group of students and professors collecting and researching ecological data in the Midwest. Why the Chub Club? These cheeky scientists. It's a fish, a creek chub. That's right. So these guys, they do all kinds of work collecting information on what kind of fish there are in the local ditches, and the microinvertebrates, all the bugs, all the plants, all this stuff out there, and it goes to just the USDA and research in general, ecological research in general. So I got to talk with Deanne and Jenny, 2 members of the Chub Club, and we went over all kinds of great stuff. But I don't think we ever clearly defined what the process of electrofishing is exactly. So just to give maybe a better idea, so we'd go out to this ditch out in kind of an agricultural area. Most of Indiana is an agricultural area. And we'd go to the start point, and it's like a 125-meter sample area, so not really that big of an area considering how big the rivers and ditches are in anywhere. And so we'd go down in the ditch, we'd set up an end net, a net to stop anything from going back behind us. We'd turn on the Electrofisher, this electric shocker thing, and then we'd go down the river with it, collecting up all the fish. You change out their water to keep them all happy once you got them all collected up, and then you count them all up, and you see what you have, and you measure them, and so it's just a whole bunch of data collection. But it's a lot of fun to go do. You see some really cool stuff, and it's a really great time. I really enjoyed my conversation with Jenny and Deanne. It was just great because even though I've been electrofishing, I got to learn a lot more about why they're doing this research, what the purpose is, and you kind of see some of the cogs behind the ecological science machine in the U.S. So kind of how we get our ecological science data, which is so important right now. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy it too. So let's see here. Anything else going on? A big thank you to Casey and Colton for providing the music once again today. The song is called Love Like Fire. I put the entire track at the end of the podcast, so please stick around and enjoy that. You can find anything I'm doing at jackofallpodcast.com. I'm on YouTube, the Facebook and all that good stuff. So check all that out. All right. That is it. Enjoy the podcast. Thank you all. Maybe if some will listen to my song, they know that love is strong. Yes, it's true. The fire can consume and take all the work you made into a pile of ash that cannot be saved. But dig down deep enough to the center of the core. I'm sure you'll find a red hot ember to adore. Give it all your love and faster than you know. All right, so electrofishing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got Jenny and Deanne. We're going to talk about electrofishing. Try to do it, right?
We got this.
Awesome. All right. So electrofishing is out electrifying fish fishing, right? But so what is the point of that? Why are you guys doing that? What is the whole end goal of this, or just why? Why are you electrocuting fish?
So first, let's just take a few steps back.
Okay.
So we're actually going out and collecting ecological data. That's pretty important to answer questions in science and research. So the lab that we work in at the university is funded by the USDA.
Okay.
And they want us to find out whether the ditches are good. They want us to make sure that we're doing the right things so that the people aren't upset with the ditches that tend to go in through cities after they go through these big agriculturally dominated areas.
Okay. So these ditches are all running. It's ditches that are run off from fields in the area, and they tend to go through the cities and the larger rivers. That's what you mean?
So most of the agricultural ditches that we work in are actually tile inlet.
Okay.
So they have drainage in the fields that then run through these tiles, and the tiles go into the ditches. The ditches are modified to fit the needs of the farmer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So these ditches are all things that are essentially just dug in that lead to a river that is already pre-existing in the area.
Yeah, there was a ditch before. Most times there was some type of natural forming ditch.
Right.
But then people came in and they channelized them. They made them bigger.
Try to improve it.
Yeah, and just purposefully put in tiles so that they could drain their fields in the Midwest. There's problems with flooding in the spring and the fall.
So you guys are kind of seeing if the ideas that they've had in how to build these ditches are proving to be actually effective or good for is it for the environment or for water quality?
Not necessarily. So the most important thing is just making sure that these ditches are still providing our question. What we want to know in our lab is how is the ecology of these once natural streams affected by being surrounded by agricultural fields. Does that make sense?
Huh. Yeah.
So that's our main thing. We want to know how can we not necessarily how can we improve them, but
we're kind of testing how human influence on the ditch almost what the neighboring human influence can be on the ecology of these ditches.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the big goal of that, or what's the big use for that? I mean, a lot of stuff these days is so save the planet. I mean, everything's geared around, stopping pollution or global warming and things of that nature. Who uses this information, and what changes does it bring, I guess, is what I'd ask.
I guess if we can figure out what the most important factor is in providing the best environment for these creatures, these organisms, then we could start implementing that, making sure that portion of the ditch is being protected or put in place. So specifically, is habitat degradation from dredging, or maybe chemicals or things, nutrients that are kind of going into the water, affecting the ditch more, this ecosystem more.
Okay.
You know, things like that.
So what would be the big consequence of just ignoring this? I mean, if you just let the ditches be crummy and whatever, or even more.
Well, you know, if we just want to ignore it, you know, then it's hard to say, you know. I mean, if we don't know what's actually...
Is it causing big problems down in Erie, or does it cause problems in Erie if you allow it to be more degraded? Is it more erosion, or...
You can have a potential loss of local diversity.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we can learn from this, is we can figure out what's actually happening in these ditches. If we were to ignore it and just say whatever, eventually all our rivers are probably not going to have any fish in them.
Right.
Or something like that. If we just completely ignore what's going on, you know, if we let the farmers just kind of do whatever they wanted in the fields too, I mean, there has to be some type of regulation.
Right.
We have to know what's happening if maybe this farmer's using a different regimen for their nutrients and pesticides. How is it affecting in stream, you know?
Right,
How is it affecting
the actual habitat or wildlife.
Ecology.
Now, are you just watching the ecology then, or are you actually seeing any kind of any variable or monitoring anything that has to do with the actual chemicals or things that farmers are using?
We do take water samples.
Okay.
And then the ARS, who we actually work with, Agricultural Research Service, takes water samples. So we're looking for specific things like total phosphates, nitrates, things that you'd see coming off these fields, atrazine.
Sounds like fertilizers. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or pesticides.
Is atrazine a pesticide, or is that, am I even saying that word
That's
right?
an herbicide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Which,
that's, same kind of, same field in my mind, I guess, at least.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh, cool. Now, I know there has been issues downstream, like in Lake Erie and such. What's that about? What of what you're doing has to do with that?
So our area, like where we are testing, where our study area is, eventually does run down over into Lake Erie. And if you have, you think it's not a big deal to have some phosphorus, some nutrients in the water, it's not really affecting anything here. But if, as you keep going, you start adding more and more, and eventually it gets to Lake Erie, and all of a sudden you have a whole lot of phosphorus, and you start getting this blue-green algae.
Right.
That contaminates the water and, really hurt people. Toledo had to completely shut down their drinking factory, their water factory, a couple of years ago because of that. So
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
The St. Joe, like where we are, isn't as bad of a contributor.
Mm-hmm.
The St. Mary's, I think, is a lot worse, but it's all part of the same thing in Fort Wayne. It's
what's the big difference between the two? Is it
different areas? They come.
Does one have more agriculture? I guess
I don't know. Our study site's all in the St. Joe.
Okay, cool. I'm not too sure about St. Mary's. Where's St. Mary's run? That's a different watershed than what we're usually in?
No, it's just a different system. It's a different tributary.
Sorry, I don't
it's
understand this too well.
Yeah, it's just they join up. The St. Mary's and the St. Joe join up to form the Mommy.
Okay, cool.
So
cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So are you guys just going off of ecology because that seems to be the biggest factor or the easiest thing to monitor, or
that's what we're most interested in?
Right.
That's the most interesting part.
I would lean towards chemical analysis, but that sounds like one that's way less fun to do, I'm sure. I have no interest in being in a lab myself, but I would rather be out in a ditch, looking at all the creatures and stuff. But, so, I mean, I know at points you've said to the effect of you're seeing what the most important variable is. Do you want to restate that just so I don't butcher it?
Yeah, so our mentor and his collaborator are trying to look and seeing what's most important in what's the most important in that got all botched up.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah.
But our mentor and his collaborator are trying to see what's most important to the ecological integrity of the ditch, either habitat variables like habitat degradation or water chemistry. So like those nutrients and pesticides that are being put in the water, or just other physical chemical, like you can even be looking at temperature or pH, which can be affected most likely by your nutrients and pesticides that are coming in. So they're kind of, that's their main question that they're using all this data to answer. Preliminary data suggests that habitat degradation is actually more important than water chemistry, but
that's crazy. That's quite surprising to me.
But it's very early, and it's just all preliminary data, and we're doing more testing and adding in some different parameters.
Cool. Obviously, that's going to be like within the realm of, we're not using things that are too horrible. I'm sure if you dumped a bucket of mercury in a lake, it'd be a little worse than digging a hole.
Yeah. Well.
So the habitat degradation, is that mostly just design of the ditches, or?
Yeah. So traditional ditches, the normal ditches that you see in the agricultural fields, they're kind of prone to, just lost the word.
Erosion?
Yeah, erosion. Thank you, Deanne. I need more coffee today. I'm not doing so good. Little sleep. Yeah, so they're prone to erosion. And so that can cause a lot of problems. And then since they're prone to erosion, you start getting all the banks are falling in. So then they have to go through and they do what's called dredging, where they take a backhoe and they just take it all back out and dump it on the side of the ditch. So you're looking at anything that can't move. So freshwater mussels. Inverts, which Deanne's babies. That stuff can't move. The fish can move, but those can't. So that's just getting taken right out. The plants, the macrophytes, all that's just being taken out, and it's almost like starting over.
Right.
So that's.
What is it? It's probably been a long time since we've had too many areas that were like this naturally. I guess the minute you start making an agricultural, it wouldn't be. But was it just turned into like a soupy, muddy, swampy, nasty ditch?
If you don't mess with it?
Yeah.
If you don't mess with it, it would go back to more like what it should be, and it actually turns out being kind of nice. You get more.
It's more of like a natural stream rather than a channelized ditch.
It may not be as good for what the farmers need it to do.
Yeah, I would imagine that too.
To its natural sinuosity, so the way it meanders, whereas the farmers really like that straight,
right.
narrow channelization, so the water flows faster and easier.
To farm around, they don't have to worry about.
Exactly.
I'm sure to keep, I would imagine to keep its integrity of having, its structure, you'd have to have, trees and things starting to grow up and retain some bank at a point too.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably the minute they take that out, it's kind of ruined. The minute you start taking the other placeholders out, it probably does a lot of damage.
Yeah, you'll start getting sediment forming its own natural bank down below.
Yeah,
and you'll get these benches type thing. That's where that's more like a natural stream.
Cool.
So some of the systems we work in have not been dredged in a long time, and you can kind of see that, and they're pretty healthy.
Yeah. Huh.
So.
Cool. So anything conclusive yet? Anything that's like big news, this was discovered, or just kind of still stacking up the information?
It's been a very long study. We're still, it started in 2006. I started collecting data. We're still going through macroinvertebrate samples from 2008.
Wow.
So we stopped collecting the inverts in 2010. 2010, just because it was taking too long.
We had too much backed up data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have, fish data, habitat data, all the way from then, and we're just we're just.
It's like the coolest data mining ever, though.
It's
really
very
is.
neat. We've got our sites, and then our mentors, collaborators over in Ohio. So we have all those sites as well that are being pulled together.
are those USDA as well then?
Yes, it's all
That's all the
funded
big
by the
overline
same
user.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that they're funding that. Has there been bubbles with that lately? I know there was maybe something a little bit at the election time, but
Yeah, we're doing okay.
yeah.
I
The
mean,
whole EPA,
we've
crap
had
hasn't affected it or anything, or
not so much what we're doing. It has other since we're at a university, we've seen other areas of the biology department have some funding cut.
yeah, lose funding.
It depends on what you're doing. Working in agriculture, it's pretty important.
Right.
So
yeah, that's big out here, obviously.
So our funding's okay.
Cool.
To my knowledge. I mean, we've had some equipment failures lately. I'm going to go into detail about that, but just that's just happened. I mean, like I said, we started in 2006.
Yeah.
And some of this equipment was from before then, because we started this project in 2006 doesn't mean that, I mean, it's a school. You have to teach everyone how to do this so they can go out in the field and learn and go work for places like Fish and Wildlife and DNR.
The DNR does a lot of the same stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you're collecting ecological data, it's research questions.
Right.
And you'll answer one question with finding another question to answer.
Yep.
That's typically how science
is
working. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's such cool data mining too that they might end up, having all this information from everywhere and looking at the big picture and go, whoa, hey, wait a minute, look at this big effect that we've seen, or so. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat stuff. And it's really great we're really lucky to have the opportunity to work in this lab.
Yeah, it's
learning
pretty
a
cool.
lot and seeing a lot of really neat things.
Yeah, it's fun how much you get to go out and do things. I mean, the school has been really impressive for creating opportunities to get out and get your hands on and do some actual experience. I mean, who else gets to go electrify fish, and have it be their education? But hold on just a second.
Mama,
you gotta do it.
Baby, I know.
the show's over.
Okay, let's go turn on another one.
Cool. Yeah, just go and I'm
I
gonna
went
cut
to
the
buy
video. You're
James'
supposed to catch her at the door.
Come on.
Um,
I remember I had the tablet for you, baby. Yeah, but you have the tablet so that you can
all right. Well, so what I kind of wanted to ask this with her here too, but we'll just get started with you anyways. What's the difference between fish and bugs? What do bugs tell you that fish don't, or is there a difference, or it's just kind of overall
With
thing?
the macroinvertebrates, they're really seen as a bioindicator species.
Mm-hmm.
So, like fish are very highly mobile. So if there's a change in the system, pollution or some other variable that has been introduced, fish can typically leave that area
Right.
if it's no longer suitable for them.
Right.
Macros are
It's good, you're
mostly immobile. So they're more, what is the word I'm looking for? Influenced by those variables. So
because they're making a lot of homes like in, probably like in the banks and in the foliage.
right.
And things
So
of
they're
that nature
typically
that are
living on the
there.
rocks and
Right.
the leaves and the sticks and the substrate of the streams. So they're influenced by these variables. And then when we do surveys, we can determine which species are present. And each species has a different pollution tolerance
Yeah.
value.
Yeah, that makes sense. They can hold up to more or less.
Right. So using fun statistics, you can determine, the richness and all these other metrics of these macro species, and you can kind of get a window in, like it's a snapshot of the system at a point in time.
It kind of says, that it's clean enough to sustain these
right.
guys.
So, if you've got a lot of species that are typically pollution intolerant, like mayflies and caddisflies and stoneflies, then you can make the assumption that the system is in good condition.
Right.
I mean, there's a tons of variables that, not that if you don't see those species, it doesn't mean that this
right.
water
Like
is
one
poison.
might be killed by oxygen deficiency and one might be
Right.
killed
It's
by
just,
a chemical.
those species love cold rushing water. So you can have a very slow moving stream, you're not going to find those species, but that doesn't mean that it's
Yeah.
in poor condition. It's just, it's not a suitable habitat for them anyway.
Yeah.
So we really just use the macros as kind of a canary in the coal mine,
Yeah.
so to speak. It's a really old term, and I've used it around students, and they all look at me with like vacant eyes, and they don't understand that reference anymore, apparently.
Kids.
Oh,
It
no.
makes me feel really old.
No.
So
They're
okay.
silly.
if we notice a change in the diversity in these macro communities, that can lead us to say, hey, something may have changed in this system. So then we can go back and do more in-depth and more expensive analysis, like chemical analysis.
Right.
Macros are typically used because it's a very cheap way to get
Right.
a quick assessment of a stream health.
Oh, see, that's cool to know that it's just the more efficient
you're always
going to
have bugs. Well, I mean, unless it's highly polluted, you're always going to find bugs in the stream.
right.
So since they're ubiquitous and it's quite cheap, I mean, it's labor intensive,
right.
but
Yeah, but
compared
versus
to
lab
other
work.
ecological surveys or chemical analysis, it's very cheap.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's kind of the role of the macros, is to give you a good snapshot
Nice.
of the stream health.
So what about the fish then? What do those tell you kind of the same thing, or they, like she was saying, they can
I
leave
walked in
more
halfway
easily?
through.
So we were just saying, what's the big purpose of macros and fish, and the macros give you kind of a snapshot. What do the fish tell you? Because they can leave easier, but what does that mean still?
Similar. I mean, there's, just like Deanne said, there's different fish species that will have tolerance indexes.
Right.
So, I mean, the diversity and the richness is really important when you're looking at the stream health, to kind of see just what the assemblage is like for
Right.
the fishes, or the abundance. But stream health, though, you're going to actually have to look at what type of species are present. Same thing with bugs.
Right, which you do. You mean you are
It depends on
collecting
your
them all
question.
and sorting them. And,
Yeah, it depends on your question.
Right.
So,
Or you just
but
kind
you
of gather
use
all that
those-
info.
Yeah, you use this data in conjunction with the habitat data, and we do some water chemistry data.
Is it habitat
our-
data, the
So-
grasses and stuff, or the
So we have in-stream habitat, and then we have riparian, which is on the banks.
okay.
The in-stream, we're determining the substrate, the content of the substrate, so the soil inside the water,
Right.
and then also the depth, the flow of the water.
Okay.
And then we get physical chemical data as well with our habitat, so the temperature,
Okay.
the conductivity,
Right.
and the
Dissolved oxygen,
pH, dissolved oxygen, yeah.
turbidity.
So
Right over my
dissolved. So the temperature is really important, because that's going to determine what kind of species are going to be able to
yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
And then the pH as well. Some species need to be at a specific pH, or
For sure.
they can't live there. And then dissolved oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all related
Cool.
too.
Yeah.
So, in the systems that we work in, they're mostly pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Ditches
Yeah.
and streams, and some
They even
rivers.
dry up sometimes, huh?
Some of them dry up. So it's kind of interesting to see the difference between years that are really dry and years that are really wet in those systems.
Right.
Because you'll actually notice that there's fish. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Usually there's not anything living there because it dries up too fast.
Yeah.
It's hard
They just
for them
work their
to-
way up.
The fish are able to move. Yeah, sometimes they'll, they don't make it out in time. They'll get stuck in a little tiny pool, and hopefully they'll make
Yeah,
it.
I've seen
Hopefully it will
that.
rain. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they can, in a little tiny pool, you're going to have the temperature increase pretty quickly if it's in the summertime. And if the temperature increases a lot, you're not going to be able to hold as much oxygen.
Right. Yeah, and that'll
So-
kill them off pretty quick.
Yeah, but I mean the fish data though, it's really similar to the macro. It's actually important to use both.
Mm-hmm.
To really understand a system, you need more than just one assemblage. You need to
Right.
be looking at more community metrics. So the fish and
I mean, what macros are
macros.
present, I mean, as a food source can determine which fish are present.
Right. Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes that might explain why a fish isn't there.
Well, and I'm sure that's
So-
also greatly influenced by the, riparian,
The riparian, the stream bank data, so
So all
what
the trees
trees,
and- yeah.
how tall the vegetation is, when land use change. Is there a house right next to the ditch, or is it all woods, or is it row crop?
Right.
So things like that.
So
it-
what's the healthiest? What's the winner? What's the best thing you guys see? What does it look like?
So it depends on what you're looking for. What
Oh, I mean, just like a
what you
beautiful,
think.
healthy.
So what we
stream
could
or
call
river.
our reference stream,
Mm-hmm.
right? Pretty healthy. It's riparian is woods,
Yeah.
forest, greater than 50 meters. There's not really much around it. Really
So about as
low,
natural as it gets, huh?
Really low agriculture. There is some agriculture, but it's really low. Different types of substrate throughout. Actually, it changes quite a bit, but it does have, which is nice because it gives it diversity.
What, from
for the
like
fishes
sandy to
as
muddy,
well.
or what do you mean?
So you
Or-
can have really like clay, sandy. Then you have all of a sudden these big cobbles and boulders,
Right.
and gravel, even some silt, which is good for the macros. You know, you
Right.
get areas where there's a lot of vegetation. It gets a little more silty, and you'll have some macros really like that, or some types of fishes like the mud minnow.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
yeah, so the data is really, it can really tell you a lot. And but in order to really understand it more, you need to look at more than
Get the
one
whole
thing.
big picture.
Right.
Yeah, it's important in
Yeah.
ecology to understand it all because, like Dan was saying, it could be from something else. Like, so there's fish isn't present because it's foods, because the
Right.
food isn't there, and then that food's not there because maybe its habitat just doesn't exist there, like
Right.
Deanne said. And so it really could have nothing to do with how healthy the water is.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
right. Right. Nice.
But it's important, like not even just for water chemistry though, but you get like the DNRs interested in all this stuff because hey,
Yeah.
they're paid for a fish, like the Fish and Wildlife Division. Most of it's paid by fishing licenses. That's how
Right.
they get their be able to have employees.
Right.
You know,
So they
and
want to make sure their fisheries are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that
yeah.
they are providing the correct habitat for the fish that they want to have in there to attract the fishermen.
Right. I'd assume this affects the lakes a lot too, right? Maybe not as much in the system that you're studying, but maybe out more towards Warsaw area. Isn't that where Crooked Lake is, where we've gone with the DNR?
Columbia City.
Okay. Yeah. And
yeah.
so I would assume that all this would affect the lakes and run into them too, or is that not how these watersheds
Well,
work?
lakes aren't always connected to the rivers.
Okay.
You know, you can have them maybe connected by groundwater. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think a
Right.
lot of our
So-
lakes are what they consider the kettle lakes, which are formed by the melting glaciers.
Yep.
So
Just kind of
it's not,
bowls.
it's
Mhm.
quite isolated. They're
Right on.
isolated pockets of water
Huh.
with, that are not necessarily connected.
Maybe
to any-
groundwater.
yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
that's
You know,
it.
there's-
So
Yeah.
So-
I know we got good fishing out here, so I know
Yeah.
the DNR puts some good effort into that,
the
and that's fun.
DNR, they do a lot of work
Yeah.
with that.
Oh,
so,
electrofishing with them was so cool.
Mhm.
It's like a big boat with four
Barge
big electric.
shocker.
Yeah, four
How
big
did I miss
electric
this
wands
trip?
sticking off of it. What's
Yeah.
that?
We did it before you came too, actually, with Seep.
Oh.
We electrofished. It wasn't the same like ride-in boat,
Uh-huh.
but it's a big walk-by boat that has two wands that come out of it, and it has a much
Walk-by.
bigger, like you're pulling it along
As you walk in the lake.
in the river. So
Okay,
it's
in the
more for
river.
a large river. that
Yeah,
you
I
can
see.
still wade in. You can still be in.
Yeah.
So, but you can. It's just a lot more, and I mean, it's bigger.
Isn't
You
that
can have two going at the
nerve wracking?
same
Like, aren't
time,
you
and
afraid of getting electrocuted?
There's safety switches.
Yeah, that's
On the
what rubber
barge,
waders
though?
are for.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you missed that.
I
That
miss
was
all the
before
fun
you came
stuff.
because we were
What?
doing some
Oh,
of the
the-
larger areas of
yeah.
Cedar Creek with it, which makes sense because it's hard to walk in some of those areas. And I mean, you can sit in it like it is a sittable, like little, more like a rowboat, like a John boat.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Fun.
But yeah, the big boat that does the really big rivers, like, and the lakes, what you did, that's really fun, where they have it actually.
It was awesome. We got some really awesome fish. Yeah. Hold on one more second. Here she comes again.
Katie, what's up? Your water? I got it. Come on.
All right, cool. Oh, we're good on time. Abaji? What else can we talk about while she's not here? I'm getting to the process of electrofishing next, but we could talk about her boyfriends, her fish boyfriends.
Yeah, she's.
Oh gosh.
She's made it to about second base with those fellows.
Most of them. Getting around with the fish.
What are you guys talking about, my boyfriends?
You and your fish friends, yeah.
What can I say? I attract the fishes.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
They know how much I love them.
Pull that thing up if you need to.
You should see. Sometimes I think it's just. Hang on, difficulties here.
You're good.
I think it's just because I'm usually wearing the backpack, but the fish like to.
Don't sell yourself short.
Come. The fish like to They attack me every single time. They're always by my feet, right?
Why?
The fish are always by my feet. I don't know. They're attracted to me.
She's releasing some powerful pheromones.
Yeah. So let's get into the whole process of electrofishing then, right?
Yep.
So what you guys actually do with that? Because that's, I don't know. I mean, that's the funnest thing to go out and do.
Yeah.
So
So with
you've
our
never sampled macros before. You need to wait till you
macros
get
are
out with
kinda
the kick
fun,
net, and
but
then you can make that determination.
Kick net.
Yeah.
What is okay?
like
How
the
does
seining, like we do.
That's-
the
okay
seining.
seining? Yeah.
It's just with a smaller net. But hey, it's exactly like when you were a kid out in the garden picking up rocks. Same principle. It's awesome.
I didn't play with bugs that much.
Oh well, then.
Do you eat them too?
Oh,
Hakuna
might as
Matata.
well. Protein.
No. All right, so do you
Sorry.
do macros? No. Do you do macros at the same time as electrofishing?
No.
Is that all this?
In
you do 'em
some of our
different?
systems, like in
Okay. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
we have
in
some
some of
systems
the
where we
systems,
do.
Yeah, we'll do a sampling.
we collect.
Right.
Mhm.
Do them both at the same time.
Well, we just have two groups that, I'll be out
Right.
leading a macro team doing some kick netting while Fishmaster over here, Bassmaster
Sure.
over here leads her fishing team behind me. So
Okay, so you guys. Okay, so let's see. You guys would start off at a ditch, right? Go
Mm-hmm.
to a start. You'd have like a start and end point, right?
Mhm.
So go to the start point, and then you set up what kick nets and everything, and lead off with those. No, that doesn't make sense.
No,
Is the
so
fish-
she's
yeah.
in this system. She's not using kick nets. She's using dip nets.
Okay.
So it's like a handheld, large net, like fine mesh net that she'll find an area that looks like suitable habitat, and she'll rummage around and collect a sample and then put it in a bucket.
Okay. Cool. So, and is that like consistently down the whole stream, or?
She'll just find a spot, and you pick so many spots in a, like, for instance, our site's 50 meters, and she does it 5 times. So like once every 10 meters.
Yeah. Cool.
Mhm.
Cool.
just in the most suitable habitat I can find, because if I just do it the whole time, it's going to be a lot of wasted effort, because the macros really
You
only
probably
like,
tear things up a lot too. That's always kind of been a concern to
Not
me
as much
going
as
down in the
fishing.
ditches. Is, oh yeah.
We try.
So what do
It's
you
for
do
science.
for fishing? How do you do that? So here we are. We're all standing in the river at the front. What do we do?
Well, first let's talk about what's going on here.
Okay.
So we do electrofishing because it's a little bit of a safer method than, say, gill nets or something that nature, because it's less casualties typically, as long as you do it correctly.
Yeah, I've seen some nasty fish caught in net stuff. That sucks. Yeah, sorry.
So first things first is we have this backpack shocker that has a ground that goes off of it. It's a tail That's what we call it. That goes behind you. And then there's a wand in the front where you press the button and it sends the current out.
Zap.
Pretty much. And then so that you actually get a current though at both the wand that you're holding and then the tail.
Right.
You'll get a little bit of current in both places. And
kinda
you
makes
want
the
to
loop.
and so the safest thing to do is when you start is you have it open and you record your what your current is, your voltage. Because you don't want to kill the fish, because you can kill the fish if you shock it too high.
Right, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So you know it's safer, but as long as you do it correctly. So that's protocol. You know, just make sure.
So the fish are typically not dying though.
Typically not. You have
stuns
some
'em.
fish that can be kind of sensitive.
But
So
size
you gotta
makes
be
a difference too,
careful.
right?
Yeah, the larger fish get shocked more because it's based off of surface area.
Right.
If you have a small fish but it's like flat, it's going to be shocked more too.
Right.
So like some of the sunfish, can get
hit
pretty
real hard.
good shock too. Yeah. But
What about macros? Does it hit macros at all? They don't even care.
They're like so small.
No.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, even some of the little fish don't get shocked as much. Like the young of the year, so the brand new fishes.
Right.
They just kind of laugh
Don't
at
get
you
hit as
and
much.
more are running away from you because they're like, someone's coming.
Yeah.
So they try to go hide. You'll catch them just because if some areas you'll have a lot of them.
Right.
So you'll still be able to catch them even though they're not shocked.
Right.
So when the fish gets shocked, they kind of like belly up a little bit and just kind of, some of them float, which is really nice, and then some of them sink, so you have to watch where you're going.
Yep.
And then you just kind of scoop them up in your nets, put them in your buckets, and move along. And you got to make sure that you change your water out because the fish, they're only shocked for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's not long.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a short little time frame, so you have to be ready to catch them.
Scoop them up and
it's it does a really good job of giving you a good picture of the system. I mean, you pretty much catch, as long as you do a good job, you can catch almost everything.
Right.
So,
well, and you're going to catch, say you get 50% of what's actually there, you're going to consistently do that. So,
yeah, in our studies, it's mostly comparisons between our sites.
Right.
We have different treatment areas with the questions that our mentor and collaborator are asking. So yeah, as long as you do the same thing at each site, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be able to answer your question.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
But electrofishing though. Electrofishing.
Drink.
It's really fun. You get to see a lot of really neat fish that you normally wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Oh yeah, you're not catching these fish otherwise. There's just no way.
No, and they're not sporting fish typically.
No. Stream fishes.
Yeah.
So we do catch some sport fishes.
Right.
But especially when we do, you haven't done it, but when we do the DNR shocking and the big barge,
Yeah.
you collect some really big fish.
Yeah.
Really neat
that
stuff.
gets really cool.
Yeah, some saw guys and really
Right. Didn't we
really
have a huge
large
grass
mouth
pickerel
bass.
last time? Wasn't that what it was? That huge one that they got? No, we get little ones in the stream. But
Yeah. You can get. I'm sure we've gotten really large grass pickerels and you get spotted gars, long-nosed gars.
Yeah.
All those are present in all of our rivers and lakes and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So how damaging is it? Because it seems to me like it's still you're tromping down the river and moving the fish and messing with them. I'd imagine that's quite
traumatizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We try to do our best to not disturb it as much as possible. And like I said, as long as you're doing it correctly and really working hard to take care of the fish, because that's our priority, is to not kill the fish. We don't want to kill them. It's okay. And usually the fish, if you go back a couple days later, you might not have as many fish because they might have moved upstream or downstream from where you shot.
This place.
Yeah.
But eventually they come back. They're there every year.
Cool.
It's just they move around, and once they see, because we only go out a couple times a year.
Right. Right.
So
Well, and pick your poison, right? I mean, how else are you gonna collect it? It's probably the best.
the
of
data's
bad choices, Yeah.
Well, our mentor was discussing that he had a previous student that was interested in quantifying the impacts of our research and our studies and find out, how the system's being changed by, our
Your
assessments.
influence, yeah.
So
I mean, you look especially at our transects because our sites are split up into sections so that we know. I mean, we have it's a set system, so we know where we are, and we know at our transect that's where we go down and take habitat measurements. So if you look at those, you'll see at the bottom of those there's an obvious little area from like a little almost pool area from us getting in and out. And it's obvious that it's
obviously we're making an impact.
Right.
We're
That's
making
the
a trap.
nature of science.
There's a
right.
path.
We all are altering the habitat of the 125 meters that we study.
That's just the nature of science, right? I mean,
right.
If you can't measure something without influencing it, so
right.
Yeah.
So you just have to try to minimize your impact as much as possible, and just for the sake of science.
Yeah. Well, and it's you guys are doing like I imagine such a limited amount of ditches in the area compared to what there is. I mean, I'm sure.
Oh gosh.
What is it like 1%? You're affecting 1% of the ditches,
Maybe
maybe.
No,
maybe
not
that.
even.
Not even.
Not even
Just
that. I can't remember the
fraction.
number.
Yeah.
I have the number somewhere of the amount of ditches in just this region. And it's a lot, especially that are the same as our system, channelized.
Right.
You look at just our individual system, our tributary that goes into St. Joe, Cedar Creek. It's
hardly anything.
I mean, there's just tons.
Yeah.
There's just tons of different little tributary streams that
awesome.
go in.
Well, totally worth it then. I
So-
mean, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about these boyfriends of yours. What the hell's going on there? Yeah.
Well,
What's this I
so-
hear about? Something about big fish having too much fun on you.
so in the spring,
Spawning season.
yeah, spawning season.
Fish are getting frisky.
Yep. So, common carp, which not really the best. They're not as bad
They're
as some of the
technically
carp.
invasive, right?
Yeah, they are
The
invasive, but
Asian
they're
carp.
not the bad carp that
Right,
we're
like
trying to keep out of
Asian
our
carp.
system. Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
They're not.
Is the Asian carp
They're-
like a koi fish or?
There's a bunch of different kinds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
similar.
Okay.
But so these common carp, really huge fish. You can see pictures of them, but they go move into these smaller streams to go
Right.
spawn. And so we were shocking this past spring, and we got one. This huge. First we got two at a different site, and then this was our second site of the day. So they might have been female at the other site. Maybe I just kind of had some hormones on my waders. I don't know. But we get this fish and I go to pick him up. I'm holding him and then, I've got some milking happening all over my waders.
So that's what you call
So as I was holding this fish and petting him, he was very happy.
Of course, petting him.
it. That was your mistake.
Were you kissing the fish as usual? You're always kissing the fish.
Well, I mean, I like fish.
Little petting, little
So
kissing. What'd you
cute.
expect?
I know.
Nice.
Yeah, my favorite are the catfish, though.
Yeah.
Don't tell Mr. Koi.
Oh.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mr.
Carp.
Carp.
Carl the Carp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he's got something.
Koi, carp.
Nice.
He's
Why are
got himself
catfish
a
so
lady.
great?
Yeah, he's probably pretty upset to find out that I wasn't actually that female carp I had caught at
What
the
a
other
waste
site.
of milk.
Right? He came out of his like electrified haze, like, what's this? What? No, no, you're not who I thought you were. Keep petting though. Keep petting. That's nice.
Well, he'll take what he
Yeah.
can get.
What's so great about catfish?
They're just so cute.
And squishy.
They've got their little barbles. Yeah, they're soft.
Barbles.
and they're cute.
What's a
Some of them
barble?
have fantastic medical properties,
Oh, yeah?
correct?
Oh, yeah. The bullheads specifically, they have their spines that, they stick you.
Ooh, yay.
Not like that.
Not like the salmon tried to do.
Carp.
If they,
yeah, the carp and salmon.
if they stick you with their spines, you start bleeding a lot because they have anticoagulant
Oh,
properties. Their little poison
they
sting
try to make you bleed to death, huh?
that they give
Yeah.
you. But if you're smart, then you know that you can rub your puncture wound on there and get some of their mucus off of their body, and it's the remedy.
Oh, nice.
It helps your blood clot again.
So it'll
Yes.
stab you and then fix you up all in one.
Yeah.
What a nice fish.
That way, if it accidentally gets its buddy, can
Right? It just rubs on him. Here, buddy, I got you.
No,
some slime.
catfish are just so cute.
They are.
I think they're really neat looking.
They're
That's
soft.
My
They're
biggest
such
thing.
soft fish.
Yeah, and they're just my favorite. What can I say?
All right, bug girl. What's the
Uh-oh.
best bug?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
The damselflies like you.
Yes,
They're always
do.
on your hat.
Right, they're all.
They like to mate on her hat.
Yeah,
Oh,
I-
wow. Why is it so sexual around
my
you,
hat
too?
must be giving off some bow chicka bow wow. But I think my favorite macro would probably be crane fly larva.
Oh, yeah?
Right. I find them fascinating.
Why is that? What's that one
Cranefly
like?
Right. The Tapulidae.
Yeah. No, I'm. It's.
You're like, really?
Yeah, I am. That's
thing?
the thing.
What is it? I have no idea what this is.
I
What's
don't
it?
know, but
Isn't that the one with the star on its butt?
yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
other
has
than
such
that,
a funky button.
it's got a star on its butt, and then it's just a
It's just
tube
fleshy tube.
with a star on its
I don't know
butt.
what that says
There's
about me,
nothing
but
else.
Yep, just like the fleshy tubes with stars on its butt.
All right, then.
Oh, you're so funny.
I suppose Diptera as a whole, those are
I like the Diptera.
our true flies.
Yeah.
That's the order. Diptera as an order are probably my favorite. There's just so much diversity.
That's so
and
funny. I
so
like
many
it too.
alien looking.
The girl who trained me was like, "You like those?" I was like, "Yeah, they're kind of cool looking."
Yeah.
The Trichoptera, which are the caddisflies, they're very interesting because of the cases they make.
Yeah.
They secrete silk like a spider, and they take the debris from the bottom of the streams, like the sand or the wood, and they spin these cases
Nice.
that then they live in and pupate in. And people have started making what they call Caddisfly Jewelry, where they
Oh, weird.
they
Yeah, they do.
rear caddisflies in aquariums, and they
Huh.
offer semi-precious gems and little beads for them to use in their
Nice.
cases. And
Yeah.
then, so it's interesting.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, that's fun. That'd be cool to have that in an aquarium.
Yeah, I
Why
think.
don't we do that? That's awesome.
Should I get you some caddisflies
Yeah.
next time I'm out? Yeah, maybe a crayfish.
No,
I was
we've
thinking
done the
about putting a
crayfish.
crayfish in my office at school.
Oh yeah, you can't have a vertebrate, but you can have
Yeah, I
an
know.
invertebrate.
That's why I was like, maybe I'll have a crayfish if I can't have a fish.
Yeah,
Nice.
there you
But
go.
then I was like, feeding might be a problem.
Get them like
Yeah,
little
just kind of.
spirulina or whatever, shrimp tablets or something maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
might
know. I'd
work.
have to look into how to care for a crayfish. How
Just
big
catch
of a
bugs
tank do
every
you
day
need, though?
and I got you your jar of bugs.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably just buy mealworms.
Dies
maybe,
over the
at
weekend, every weekend.
at the
bring a new
pet
one.
store. That's what my turtle would eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would probably work. You should do it.
I think you should.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we already did the crayfish thing once. They were mean. They would.
Oh yeah, they're real.
Yeah, you'd like catch them like grabbing onto a fish and riding it across the whole tank, like woohoo! Yeah, yeah. You remember that? Got them out of the White River. People were looking at us like we were insane because we were too dumb to realize like it was a disgustingly polluted river at the time. Probably still is. I have no
Are
idea.
you sure that was me?
Uh-oh.
We were around.
Wah,
Yeah.
wah.
Oh, it was in Muncie way back in the day. We had
That's
him
when
in
I
the
met him.
55. Yeah.
I wasn't so sure about you yet.
I wasn't so sure about me either, so we were on the same page there. It was fine.
Yeah, no, but the work we do is really fun.
It is.
It's a great.
Except when your new recruit shocks you in the arm.
Ooh.
You know, I let it go.
I know.
I let it go.
She was very forgiving.
Well, you shocked her.
Oh yeah.
My arm was numb for what?
I
2
thought-
hours?
I was expecting a phone call later saying that
You're
Jennifer is dead and
Oh,
her
geez.
children's are motherless now.
Come on. Right.
It was a very good shock. She got me pretty good.
Yeah, I've
It was
not
my
been
first
shocked
time
yet.
wearing a pack, and I got used to hearing it beeps when you're holding down the button.
Yeah.
So you just start to tone it out, and
It's okay. I've been shocked
I
so
lifted
many
up the wand
times.
and I got her on the forearm right with the wand, which is the heaviest current, strongest current.
Perfect.
And yeah, her arm just went numb. I'm like,
It's okay.
great.
I
great,
survived.
Great. This is excellent first impression.
Sometimes I have these little pains.
Sure.
Just
Sure.
saying.
Right.
No, you know what?
Just permanent damage. No big deal.
When Jennifer dies, when she's like 102, they're gonna do
ambitious.
an autopsy, and they're like, man, she's got some damage.
It's
It's
great.
like, did
except
she
for
ever
that
get
arm.
electrocuted in her youth?
Oh my gosh.
As a matter of fact, she did.
Yeah, you know, when I was teaching fish bio, I was teaching everybody how to do stuff. We'd have problems with backpacks.
Uh-huh.
They weren't going, and so what do? It's like everything seems to be working, but the fish aren't getting shocked.
Right.
Is it working or not? Well, you
Easiest thing to
stick
do.
your hand in the water
Find
and
out.
just see if you get shocked.
It's working.
Yeah. But remember, we're not at too high of a
No.
current. So if you're just putting your hand down in the water, as long as you're not right on top of it, it's just kind of like ooh.
Tingle,
Yeah, I mean, if
you
you've ever
know.
grabbed onto an electric fence,
Yeah.
it's similar.
Yeah, she got me pretty good that one
I
day,
did. I
but-
did. I felt I was in a full-blown panic.
Deanne
Yeah.
I
was
went
very
home
stressed out.
I went home and told Vic, I'm like, I have to quit. I have to talk to
Oh, come
the
on.
prof and be like, I'm
Can't
done.
do it. I'm almost
done.
killing people.
I've already almost murdered
Well,
somebody.
I'm so glad that you didn't.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
But I haven't worn the pack since.
Shh. Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, that time she wasn't there to get zapped.
Right.
Oh, you can
As
do it as
soon-
long as I'm not around.
Well, as soon as you didn't have to wear it anymore, you didn't wear it.
I've learned, like, I've got a healthy fear of that now.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
it's
I don't know how I've managed to
I'm
avoid being
awkward and
zapped.
clumsy enough that it's not usually in safe hands when I'm
Yeah.
around it.
I
I-
shocked
that's-
somebody the other
Yeah.
day. Well, not the other day, but this season. But it was their own damn fault.
Oh, yeah?
No. Same thing as Deanne saying, you're going and you have the button pressed and someone needs to tell you if they're going to put their hand in the
Right?
water.
See, that's the problem.
You
I do
know?
that all the time, and that's why I'm amazed I haven't been zapped, because you'll be catching fish, and you're like, you got too many fish in your net, and you need to get them in the bucket, and you just reach down there, and you're like, oh, I'm sticking my hand in the water. What am I doing, Yeah, somehow I've managed to avoid it, though.
Maybe it wasn't actually shocking.
But we're getting fish, so yeah, it's worked some at least. Yeah, there was too many problems with the backpacks this year.
It was a
The
little
equipment's getting
frustrating.
older. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
That's right.
yeah. That's working on something for years and years.
They're on their way back.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Finally fixed up
Wow.
again.
They are upgraded, fixed and
Awesome.
upgraded. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. How long is this whole thing supposed to go on? Is there a window of research, or just as long as funding keeps coming?
So the project that we're working on, it's the SEAP project is what they call it, Conservation Effects Assessment Project.
Okay.
And right now it's been all preliminary data. So eventually it's going to get analyzed to see which conservation efforts is working the
Right.
best.
Right.
So they have things like blind inlets that they're looking at, which is a different setup where, like I was telling you, the tile inlets, but this one, the drain is actually covered by a bunch of different types of substrates, different
Right.
types of rocks. So it kind of
Sands
filters
and
it a little
stuff
bit
and-
before it ends up going down into the ditch.
Right. Yeah.
So they're just kind of trying different things, and eventually I'm sure they'll analyze it and stop it, at some point once they
Right.
say,
Well,
hey, we think we're good. But
I'd imagine it's kind of a recurring cycle too. Like they might analyze it, make some changes, or come up with new designs, and then you just start back over, assess how that's working out, right?
Might
Yeah,
stop it for a
cool.
while, then go back and see what's happening. However
Exactly.
many years later, it's something it's not just here.
Right. It's a nationwide project.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
oh yeah,
There's sites all
USDA.
over the U.S.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I guess being it's a school thing, it sounds like it's a good thing to be going into as far as a career path, but maybe you need to also be a little more diverse in the field. I guess I imagine DNR people do this and also other things, or
Well, the Indiana DNR has different departments.
yeah.
So there's a fisheries department.
Yeah.
So-
Are those the same people that would go out and do like they do the Crooked Lake,
Yep, those are those
Electrofishing.
people. And then there's fish and wildlife too. I mean, they have specific jobs. Like
Right.
I am studying to be an aquatic ecologist, and I'm focusing on fish and freshwater systems, rivers and lakes and such. But I also have experience working with some other organisms, plants.
Yeah.
I even have some experience with trees.
Yeah, you kind of started
know.
with that, huh?
Yeah, so, but, you find the thing that you like the most, and that's what you
Yeah.
want to research. That's what you want to do. But
Plus,
it's
there's
good
great
to have a lot of
opportunity out
background
here,
and
too.
everything.
Yeah.
Mhm. And Deanne's got a lot of experience with macros.
That's what I have almost all my experience in is macros. I
and
worked with,
fish.
I've only started working with fish since I've moved to Indiana. I lived in Utah for 14 years and I started out with my macros out in Utah.
Nice.
So, and I was just fortunate enough to find our mentor.
Right.
And he was overwhelmed with macro data and
Looking
was
for someone
thrilled
to do it. Nice.
that I had some experience.
He was,
What's the difference?
because I heard about you from him.
Right.
Oh, good.
What's the difference
Not
between
just the girl that almost killed you.
right. What's the difference between here and out there as far as macros? Or did you get much field time out there?
Well, I mean, the systems are completely different.
Yeah.
The systems I was working in out in Utah were alpine streams. So it's cold and clear and cobble bottomed, and there's a large diversity of macros. You get to travel up into the mountains. And,
Yeah. Awesome.
and out here, I get to walk down into agricultural ditches
Right.
that are overgrown with
Reed
canary
canary,
grass and
Yeah.
other
Yeah. It gets
noxious
thick.
plants. And
Poison
Poison
ivy.
poison
ivies
ivy,
and-
stinging nettles.
Oh, I
Lots of
hate
stinging
those
nettles.
Although
ones.
I seem to either have been like totally lucked out on that front, and I've never had a reaction. So either I'm not reactive to these poisonous
Right.
plants, or I've just like
I stuck my hands in
Totally.
like 16
Probably
nettles this year.
because they have the little tiny hairs on them.
like the stinging nettles.
The-
I'll get a little bit of a reaction, but like I've never gotten poison ivy.
Oh, the poison ivy. Yeah.
So either I've been extremely fortunate, have just like missed every plant that we've ever encountered, or I just am
I
not
don't react
reactive
to it either. I don't.
I'm not going to test my theory
No,
and like
no.
slather poison ivy all over my body, but
I've got some
Yeah.
in the backyard. You can go rip out for me.
We'll try it
roll
out.
around. No, I don't get it either. I don't try to, but I don't either.
So
yeah.
in the bottoms of these agriculture ditches are very mucky. They're very
Yeah.
silty.
Yeah.
So
More rocky out there.
it's
and
most
it's
of the
so
streams are
beautiful
it's
out there.
just cobbles, boulders.
Let's go out there, Jenny. Let's do it.
We're going again in June.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I loved
Yeah.
hiking out there and
So
stuff.
I enjoy seeing the difference.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed it tremendously. I'm not sure. I'm more focused. Like I'm more interested in ecotoxicology,
Mm-hmm.
which macros can play a large part in,
Yeah.
Mhm.
obviously. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm really interested in the industrial and urban effects on aquatic systems.
Right.
So I'm really interested in like the effects of mining and a lot of the other industrial Pollutants. Thank you.
Yeah. So do you
Toxicants.
think you'll keep doing the same kind of research where you're mostly focusing on ecology then? Or?
Right. I'm going to stick with aquatic ecology, especially in the realm of macros, because them's my faves.
Right.
Like, honest, like, dream job, working over in Europe, assessing the... Why are you laughing?
Because it's just sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Well, that's why it's a dream
It's
job.
starting working in Europe.
Starting working in Europe, assessing the ecological health of World War I battlefields.
Whoa, awesome.
Because
now you're talking my language.
right, the World War I battlefields have so many unexploded ordnances that are leaching heavy metals and other toxins into the groundwater and the soil. And also, you know, they've got dumping grounds out in like the English Channel where they dumped a lot of their spent artillery. So that would be like total pipe dream job.
That sounds like getting yourself blown up though too.
True, but you know,
yeah.
Who can say, you know, yeah, I might have lost a limb, but it was in the name of science.
Totally worth it. Plus all the other people that lost so much more there, right? Yeah, all you had to give was a limb.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason why I'm minoring in German, which most people are like,
What?
But I'm just
No, it's awesome though.
Hey, it's the most spoken language in the EU, so it's just a little way in.
Yeah,
it's like I speak German and bugs. That's my ticket to ride.
Perfect. Yeah.
I like it.
Nice. I love that. Those battlefields are so crazy, and I love
yeah,
the
like at Verdun, like that.
Yes.
Those battlefields are complete. Like they're fallow now. That land cannot be used.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
It's totally.
The horror
decimated.
stories of it just being like huge soup bowls of nasty, you know, humans and ordnance and gases settling into it and all that stuff.
Right, the mustard gas and everything's
and
just buried and
Yeah.
it's just leaching into the environment.
Dude, like Verdun looks like the surface of the moon. It's insane. Well, with grass on it. It's the surface of the moon with grass. It's so crazy.
So that I would love, because I was a history major to begin with.
Yeah.
And then I found my bugs.
Nice.
My life changed.
That's so cool.
But I still want to try to, if I could incorporate that history, that would be...
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You could get into so much in
Jenny's
Europe.
just like
There's so much over there.
Smiling at me like,
I think it sounds like fun. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
I don't have any like crazy dream jobs because, you know, I have a family. And so I just
no dreams with a family.
Dreams, Jennifer.
Yeah, but I haven't thought much about it, you know. That's pretty cool.
You've already realized your dreams with your children.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about staying more around this area and staying closer to family and things like that, but
maybe
we'll
do
see.
something once the kids are all grown up. But
yeah, there's a lot of options.
Try to do something a little bit more.
I haven't like
cool.
in the past. Didn't you have a friend who they'd live like out of an RV and travel around and do more contract work that was ecology based?
Yeah, I have not ecology based. I have a friend who works with the national parks system.
Yeah.
So they like kind of just go where the job is.
Yeah.
Each summer, and they try to go to different parks each summer.
Vic and I have like talked about that.
Yeah, her and her
Vic
husband.
Is my husband.
Yeah,
Just throwing out random names at you. But like,
your husband's listening. Who's this Vic guy talking about running off with Vic?
You got a boyfriend too in the field? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had some frisky crayfish.
Oh, jeez. Crayfish.
You know, like he's an engineering student, so he's just like, I could just, you know, do like freelance engineering, and you know, we're big fans of the tiny home movement.
Yeah. Yeah, throw some wheels under it, good to go.
Right? And just travel around and go where the jobs are. Or I said we could just be the seasonal marijuana pickers in California,
right.
Colorado.
Yeah, you can do that.
Go where the weed is.
Oh my gosh.
I don't smoke it, but I can pick it.
Oh, people do that. It's crazy.
And
that's a whole
can make,
thing.
Yeah, you make decent money. And
Yeah, I have
Just
very close friends who have gone out there just for, a few months at a time. They do the work, and then they go off traveling other
toodle off
places.
and go to the next place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird industry. But
Yeah.
yeah. You're like, wow,
This
those
took a
are some
turn.
plans. I was not. I'm just
I
gonna
wasn't
stay
gonna
home
say
with
that.
Mom. What is this? I'm gonna go play with bugs. Harvest some weed, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my dream job is to just do research. I'd like to do my own research.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You talk a lot about going into education, which would be great.
Mm-hmm.
You get to have research opportunities, get the whole benefits of education.
Yeah, I need my PhD though.
Yeah,
which would require moving, so I don't see that happening.
That's a big
anytime
challenge.
soon.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
So when you say education, you mean like academia, like university level?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that. I've considered if, in the end, if I decide I really just enjoy teaching and it's hard to maybe get my dream job or get something I want, I would be happy with teaching and maybe going into the high school level.
Cool.
Not necessarily number one on my list, but
Well, there's also the option of maybe joining a nonprofit and doing a lot of the outreach.
didn't we just have this did I have this conversation with you?
Think
No,
so.
It was with your mom. I had this conversation with your mom.
Because
About
I did
this.
I did some
Mhm.
outreach with
Mm-hmm.
some nonprofits out in Utah talking
Mhm.
about macros.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's education opportunities at all the parks.
Mm-hmm.
But I was telling his mom that if I go into teaching, I could still also try to do some work
Right,
with
right.
nonprofits,
Mm-hmm.
do some science.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Nice.
Because you can't
yeah.
leave the science out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where the real fun is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there's so much of that kind of stuff around. Like you keep telling me more and more about different organizations and stuff that are doing these things, and I don't know. I live in a whole different world where I'm like, what are you doing? You're playing in ditches. Why? Like, who's doing this? And it turns out there's a lot of people and a lot of actual opportunities.
I mean, it's
and
important. Our
Yeah.
drinking water in Fort Wayne comes from
Exactly.
it's at
St. Joe. Mhm.
Yeah, the system we work in is where
Yeah.
our drinking water comes
Right.
from.
So
well, the work is so much cooler
So-
too than I would expect. Like in my
Mhm.
mind, I jump to you talk drinking water and stuff, and to me, it's all mixing chemicals and making sure things are proper and just checking chemicals and lab work. It doesn't sound fun like electrofishing, Like I'd much rather be out in a ditch zapping fish.
drink.
Yeah, but it's all important. The lab work's important too.
Yep. Yeah.
Bacteria matters.
Yeah. Bacteria
Yeah, we
lives
need
matter.
to find out how much E. coli is in our water.
Yeah, we have that test too.
Yeah.
Microbiology is important.
Awesome.
It's not just field kids.
No. Although we are the cool kids on campus.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All the
Definitely.
physics students agree.
Oh, sitting in your little dark closet.
Whatever. Physics department's the best. Give me that
Anyways,
look.
so
Hey now.
That's okay. I'll give it to you. My dad's a physics major, so
We're the coolest.
physics is cool.
I suppose.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's everything.
Yeah, our system, our instruments need physics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You can
Yeah.
be our little
Yeah. See?
yeah. Our gear fixer.
Oh, I'm just the gear guy.
Yeah, you're just our gear guy.
I'm the roadie now, huh?
Right, exactly.
Physicists are roadies. I
Yeah,
see.
so I need you to come up with a new instrument for us to use. Got it?
Yeah,
That's what Vic
that's-
wants to do. He's like, I'd love to design instrumentation for scientific research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It's cool.
Because
We
he's
could
like,
use
because your
better.
hydrolabs suck.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
He's like, that's a
amazing.
terrible
Yeah.
system.
All the
Granted, we have
time
an old
breaking.
system. They have
Right.
all new ones, and Dr.
Whatever.
I think our mentor
We'll
is
put
going to
noise over
be taking it, buying something different.
Oh, yeah?
So
How exciting. When are we getting that Tahoe?
it should be soon.
Are we going to have it for fall
hope-
sampling?
What is this?
We were talking about maybe before fall. So the ARS had a Tahoe that they were using, but they
like
got
like a
something
Chevy
new.
Tahoe.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
So a big truck.
yeah.
And if they had to list it first, but if they didn't sell it, then they were going to donate it to us.
Awesome.
And they didn't sell it.
Awesome. Heck yeah.
Because they didn't sell it.
Well, but awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out for you guys and I don't have to come,
Right.
jumpstart you somewhere or
It's the
something.
first time we take it out,
No,
Joe's going to get a call.
No, it's
Just
pretty.
like the
It's a pretty
Tahoe.
decent vehicle. It has a decent amount of miles, but not too bad.
Yeah.
And most
I'm
of them
sure
are
it's
like
maintained and
highway.
all. Yeah.
So
I'll just
I'm
get a call that you locked your keys out again. Come save us.
I mean, we were fine. We just went and went shocking in the ditch some more.
Yeah.
We said, let's go check out this area.
Yeah, let's check out this big pool right here.
Maybe we'll get some big suckers.
And we did.
Nice. Big sucker fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of those in the area, huh?
Yeah. A decent amount depends on the system.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Awesome. All right, anything else pertinent? Is there anything else we missed or any other good funny stories? Because it's so fun electrofishing.
Well, I mean, we do more in the field than just electrofishing and just our dip net sampling, and our habitat sampling. Right now, we're also collecting sediments. We have another person in our group, another grad student, who's taking sediment course, and those are going to be analyzed for chemicals, pesticides, and nutrients.
What's a sediment
and
core
particle
like?
size.
I imagine a tube filled with a
tube
dugout core.
that's it's like a tube with plunger, plunger tube, so you can stick it down and then get the suction and then pull it up.
Yeah.
So
cool.
hold it in, then you can put your sediment sample in a container.
Nice. That's
So-
pretty neat. How big of a sample or how deep does it go?
You only go down a couple inches.
Yeah.
Okay, so not too deep, but
Yeah, but you can do particle size, which is important because you'll have different types of substrates, different size will adhere different chemicals too. So it'll be interesting to see what that all turns up.
huh?
So we're doing that, and then also doing the total suspended solids on top of that. This is some new parameters that we're adding into the study.
Right.
And with total suspended solids are then all the particles that are suspended in the water. So we're getting that data as well, which they take the water and you put it through this whole filtration process and get a number. So
Yeah.
and those suspended solids can be sediments or they can be other things as well.
Agrochemicals or
Yeah, I mean,
do those get to that level or no?
well, they might be stuck on the substrates,
Right.
chemicals.
That would
And
be more of the core
mean,
sample. See, that's really
well,
interesting.
but
See, now you're doing
you can have
physics where you have
sediments,
the
but you can have
molecular
sediments
interactions
in the
and-
water, in the water that actually have the chemicals in them,
Right. Okay.
So,
Yeah. Awesome.
And
So those are new markers that are being added, and that sounds really important.
Mhm.
That
Other-
sounds really good.
and other pollutants too, not
Is-
even just soils and sediments. You can have like plastic.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Right.
you have a lot of road runoff, so you got your
Mhm.
oils and.
That's an
Other
issue in the
auto
ditches out here.
chemicals.
Yeah.
I don't know so much. I mean, you might have some runoff from like farm machinery.
Yeah, I don't know if that will show
Not
up
too
in the
much of an
total
issue,
suspended
though.
sediments or not, or
Yeah, I don't-
solids or not. Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're doing those
Why did
which
that
is
just
pretty
now
cool.
get added? Is that new?
Because-
It's not new tech, is it? Or
because the preliminary data is showing that maybe habitat might be more important.
so hash it out a little bit more.
So we're adding some more things in to see what else we can find
Right.
out. And then with our thesis projects, both mine and the other grad student, we've added in some more macroinvertebrate sampling systems. So some Hestrodendes.
The Husker Buskers?
Yeah,
The Husker Dooskies? How do you the
That's totally what I'm
And
calling
leaf
them. from
packs.
the
now
honker
on.
donkeys? What are they?
The honky dories.
The honky dories?
Yeah. So that's
The Hesterdendes?
another
Is that
way
it?
that we're going to be collecting macroinvertebrates. And then I also think we're going to be doing some macrophyte sampling. So some of the
What the?
aquatic plants.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Nice.
but that's just all more parameters that we're going to add into the research. So the
Yeah.
nice thing is that we have this extra funding to be able to do all this ecological work on top of what we're required to do
Yeah.
from the USDA. So
That's awesome.
yeah, we can really learn a lot. You know, we've had previous grad students look at freshwater mussels, look at crayfish, look at specific inverts like riffle beetles. We have a lot of interesting data.
Yeah.
We have fish genetic surveys done.
Nice. That's really interesting.
So
Did you get a more medical bio student in there or something, or
I mean,
trying to do genetics? That just sounds like a whole different
no, I
field.
mean genetics is the new thing. Like it's super important.
Right, that's the
When I
wave of
went
the
to-
future is.
How's it done
Yeah.
though in this? How's it done in this? I mean, again, now I'm back to like picturing test tubes and lab work,
Well, yeah, you take samples. Yeah, you take
and then lab
yeah,
work
you
it
can
up
take
and figure out what
samples
the
and-
genetics are.
Yeah,
I just
and
didn't
I
know
think
if it was
and
based
then
off
you can look
physical-
at the actual pollutants inside the fish too. You can take
Ooh.
like liver samples
Mhm.
and
Gonad
Right.
samples.
gonads. See,
Mm,
look for
nuts.
any.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so
Well, yeah, because atrazine has been shown to have male frogs, grow testes.
Ooh.
They're changing sex because of the herbicides can be so high in estrogen. They're very estrogenic that they're
Right. Oh,
Change.
she loves you. Oh, is that? You hear about that one all the time. Yeah, you want to get her out of here real quick.
yeah. So with that, I will say that's
Oh,
all.
well, there she goes.
There's
It's fine.
been some research. One specific researcher,
Mhm.
can not remember his name off the top of my head, but that has found some of that stuff, and he's been in.
What, the frog stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been lots of problems with that because atrazine is widely used,
right,
and it's considered to be safe.
Right.
But there's a
So-
lot of research that needs to be done. Nothing is conclusive.
Yeah, but you
So-
wonder what's happening in our systems. You know, we actually, another study looking for feminization in creek chubs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
So they're
Huh.
yeah, different thing. But I'm not sure if don't know what exactly they were looking at
right.
in terms of what chemicals, if they were even looking at a specific chemical or if they were
And the
just
frogs
looking
are the creek
for
chubs.
it. The creek chubs.
'Cause those
I'm
are-
just saying, like
that's
that was
happening up here
that
in this
was
area. Those are here.
a previous graduate student.
Oh,
Looked at some of
okay.
that. So.
Cool.
Cool.
hmm
Huh. Did they find anything about with the creek chubs then, or because are they using atrazine in the area here?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't know if we are
All
we
over
do have
the US
atrazine,
then,
but
or-
I
know
cannot
it's used
remember
heavily
what
on
they used.
corn crops. I think
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
very heavily used on.
So
corn
where was?
crops.
Do you know where the frogs study was? That because that one's
I don't.
He's out west.
Right. Okay.
that one's gotten a lot of play. That one I think made
Yeah,
like
that's-
what was that crazy? There's another crazy podcast that they've talked a lot about that though. But they go all conspiracy with it and how they're trying to turn everybody gay and blah blah blah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna go that far.
yeah,
there-
but
there
people,
does
but no,
seem-
the whole frog thing is
There
kind
has
of blown
been
up for
some
that.
findings, but like I said, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's anything conclusive.
There's
that you
many
can't make
other chemicals that
Right.
also cause hermaphrodism.
hermaphroditism.
Yeah,
But
'cause
th-
it's actually
there's-
causing a physical change in them, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, but there's plenty of other things in
Right,
the past
you can't-
as well that have caused this.
not
And
just atrazine.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that's a common thing to look
like you
for.
said, one researcher has claimed to make that connection with the atrazine, but
hmm
I don't
Yeah,
know.
There's
Yeah.
reasons we don't use some other chemicals anymore.
right, because they have been found. So,
So-
well, of course you're going to have that. I mean, we don't
Looking
know
at
until
you,
we know.
DDT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, nice. You guys are on the front line finding what's killing everything. Oh, that's good.
I've already had my kids, so they're fine.
Right, right. Well, hopefully we're getting better at this, and we won't have any more, things like asbestos or things like that where we use it for all kinds of stuff, and then 20, 30, 40 years later
that's
start
kind of
going,
the
oh
nature of
crap.
chemicals is
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're always going to end up finding like, oh no, well this actually does cause this.
yeah,
or
a lot
this-
of yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll
So-
find out autism's caused by some kind of plastic we've been using or something
I thought you were
stupid
gonna
just for
say
not knowing.
vaccines, and I was about to walk out.
Oh.
Definitely not. Definitely
go
not
there, Joe.
vaccines. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, but we've had this. It's a really fun lab to work in. It's just general, this type of research. You can really learn a lot by just looking around you, taking a moment to see what's happening and outside of our little human world, these other systems, ecosystem. So
Yeah, see how much we're affecting it.
well, not even just us, but we can learn a lot about ourselves from them.
Yeah.
We're looking at how we're going to be affected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We're all in this together, people.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, this is all in the
This is
long
our
run, our
only
food
home.
source and water source and all those kind of things. So the Chub Club's going to save the planet by electrocuting fish.
We're going to contribute.
By electrocuting fish.
I suppose.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you coming on and doing this. It's been very cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And then looking back at white paper is really trippy. I think digital screens are just turning everybody into shamans. That doesn't mean people aren't stupid.
Love is like fire in a stove. Keep an eye on it and watch it grow. Sooner or later and faster than you know, that love will do anything. Don't take your outfit for 1 second, don't you blink. Ignore a fire and it could do most anything. The flame could die, burn up all it could desire. Playing with love's like playing with fire. We start fires everywhere. If they last, some do not care. Some do anything to keep it lit without thinking. Some will let it turn down too cold to keep it raw. Some never make none at all. The fire of my love is stoked and going strong. And just because I've loved more than one, some say it's wrong. Maybe if some will listen to my song, they'd know that love is strong. Yes, it's true, the fire can consume and take all the work you made into a pile of ash that cannot be saved. But dig down deep enough to the center of the core, I'm sure you'll find a red hot ember to adore. Give it all your love and faster than you know, you'll be smiling with a fire safe and warm.